This is PCGamer Radio, and today we're asking the question, why WASD setup on your keyboard? It's surely for idiots. Let me introduce you to your host, Lipstickpaddy, who will explain everything. So, Lipstick, please take it away. Well, thank you for the introduction, narrator. Now, the WASD setup is absolutely nonsensical. It really is. And it's become the traditional setup for all PC games, and I abhor it because it is inherently worse than what you should be playing. So what is the alternative? Or what is the better setup in my experience? Well, instead of WASD, you just need to move your hand to the right to an ESDF setup. Because if you're a typist, and trust me, when I was in sixth form college in England, I got my typing level 3, word processing level 3, and text processing level 3. And when you're touch typing, you always put your hand in a starting position, which is ASDF. In fact, you'll notice on your keyboard you've got a bit of braille on the F key, as you do on the J key. This is for your index finger, so you can always find your starting position on the keyboard without looking at the keyboard. ASDF. And if you program your fingers to go WASD, you are away from typing standards. In fact, you're breaking the harmony between typing on a keyboard and playing on a keyboard. So if you go ASDF, you already have then a index finger to find your setup, which is perfect. It's there for you, that really is. So when you've got ESDF, let me just tell you the problems I have with WASD. The first one is the spacebar for jumping, which is really daft in my opinion, because how often are you jumping in a video game? And the spacebar really is an emergency button in a game, and this should be set to something like activate my ultimate ability, or to jump into cover, or to actually roll out of the way, or in an MMO where they keep going, oh, tab targeting, I don't like tab. Why are you using tab to target? Spacebar is the target in an MMO because you're going to be using that more often than not. So you're putting it in a... Spacebar's there to be used if it's going to be used a lot. So jump on the ESDF is R. It is on R, no problems jumping using the R button at all, and the crouch button would then be W, so W, crouch, R for jump, no problem. On this setup, you're going to be interacting with T. Now, if you think T is a bit of a stretch from F, because you should be able to hit T without removing your S, you should be able to hit T without removing your fingers from A, S, and D. Now, that's kind of the easiest stretch to go. But in the WASD setup, when you've got an inventory, it's always on the letter I, and that makes you move your whole hand off your WASD and move over to the letter I. Well, on an ESDF setup, your inventory is your bag, and you can put that as the letter B. This is a little bit of a stretch if you're not a touch typist to go from F to B, but you can totally do this without removing your other fingers, so you can keep your fingers on the keyboard and hit B for your bag. You don't need to go in that. The other one that kills me is the map button. So look at the map, M on the keyboard, it's so far away. Map should always be changed to tab. Yes, tab, very easy to press without moving your fingers off. Tab is the best solution for that. Other keys then that I would standardize in the ESDF would be, so interact would be T, reload would be G, put your gun away or out, V, which is like, let's put your sword back away, or to put your gun in its holster, that would be V. Throw a grenade would be C. And then you've got your Q, A, Z, and X as options then. A, generally I would have that as first aid. And if you think about this on an ESDF setup, imagine first aid's on your belt to your left, so that's A. Your clip for your gun or your sword is on your right of your belt, that's V. The clip could be G on your belt, so it kind of makes sense in an interesting abstract way where these are. So you've got all these extra buttons. And then you've got your, you're not reaching across the keyboard, and all these keys then can be accessed from that one hand, and you never ever need to look down at your keys, because you should be able to touch all of these on the keyboard easily. So yeah, the ESDF setup is the best option, especially if you feel that you do want to go into touch typing. The WASD setup doesn't really align with touch typing, whereas the ESDF setup perfectly harmonizes with touch typing. And if you ever do need to go to chat, then you bring your mouse hand over onto the keyboard and your left hand doesn't even move, it's already in the typing position. It's so much better, this. And yeah, I think, why don't you give it a go? You can see here on the screen the setup. I'll put it up here with the setup that I would have, and yeah, do try it out, because you've got any games throw extra keys at you. You can totally put them in here, because you've just got all these extra buttons that you don't have with WASD. And with that as well, with this setup, like I said, it's so much easier then to start learning where the numbers are when you're touch typing in a game. If you're switching to a gun or a knife or whatever it is, you can quickly learn the numbers 1 to 5 on this setup, or even 1 to 6 if you can do that stretch. It's a kind of a big stretch. So yeah, the B is going to be the most difficult one if you're not a touch typist. The number 6 is going to be a bit of a stretch as well, but it is possible. And everything else is really easy. But yeah, so not only so yeah, just to wrap up then, the ESDF setup harmonizes with touch typist, and you get a braille key on the keyboard to help you rest your hand on the keys without looking at the keyboard. You also get some extra buttons around you, and in this setup you move away those distant buttons that you would have normally set up for you, which is the map on M key, the inventory on the I key. You bring them all into a really easy positional to get, and you change this around, and you really then free up the spacebar for something that you're going to use more often than not, or you're going to need to use it in an emergency where it's really easy to use, or unforgettable if it's on the spacebar. So yeah, so get rid of the WASD setup, switch to the ESDF setup, and you're now in a much better position, which will actually help your touch typing and will actually make it so much better, because you're not moving your hand off the WASD, which you have to do currently. The ESDF puts it all there for you and makes everything easy for you. It is going to take a couple of games, I'd say, to get used to the ESDF setup, but once you migrate over, you'll never look back. And yes, and all those abhorrent keyboards that have a highlighted section WASD on the keyboard, you're just going to laugh at them, because oh my god, whoever started this WASD convention, it is bonkers. It really is. Well, on that bombshell, you've been listening to PC Gamer Radio. I'm the host, Lipstickpaddy. You take care, stay safe, and have fun with the switchover. You take care. Bye-bye. Well, thanks for watching. And if you remember, you can please subscribe and like the video. And don't remember, you can also hit the bell for notices on the channel. Yeah, we've also got a Twitter you can see on our banner, so check that out too. So take care and bye-bye.